I beg, let's do something. You're trying to be making
what?
Shakara.
What?
Shakara. Shakara Oloje. She likes making shakara.
What is that?
Doing shakara.
What is that?
She like blogging. She loves. Hey! Stop it! Don't be surprised when you touch me like that. If I say stop it, my baby will start crying. Mommy, stop it! Don't touch daddy like that again.
What, like the babies in that video?
Mm-hmm.
Ah, you hurt daddy! Ah!
Why did you touch daddy like that? Yes.
No, that was from mom. That was so cute. He smeared that cake on her face and they freaked out. And her oldest went over there and popped her daddy in the butt. Don't do that, daddy! That was so cute.
What I do? What I do? It's enough. It's enough. Enough.
Fist full of potatoes, I'm telling you.
It's enough, man. Stop eating. Record it, Joe. Stop eating.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Vicky J and Solo, and we are here for our mid-pregnancy update. We made it.
We made it again.
A whole 20 weeks.
Hmm.
And we have lots of news to report of what it's been like for the first and, second trimester so far. So I thought that it would be a good idea to have Solomon here to give the perspective of the man. Because for us, it's one thing, for them, it's a whole other thing. So in my first trimester, had a lot of difficulty, mostly hormonally, with the changes that were happening to my body. Very tender area, right? Like, I was super sensitive to it, like very, very sensitive. I didn't want to be touched. And I also, just hormonally speaking, was on edge. Like, everything made me angry, and I was arguing and, screaming at everybody.
And you're still screaming now. You're still angry. Yes.
We're talking about the first trimester.
Still the first trimester, the second one, still that you deliver.
I would say that I have calmed down significantly since the first trimester. That is not to say that I'm not still highly irritable, but the first trimester, I was just like incensed. It was really crazy. I spent a lot of time crying to myself, like by myself, and just not sure. Like, I experienced invader syndrome, which, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it's when you just want to get it out of you. This thing that is changing your body, this foreign entity that is invading you. That's what it feels like. In your mind, that's what it feels like. Unless, of course, you anticipate, unless, of course, you've been around the block and you know exactly what this is. Like, at the time, I'm just like, I don't want this. I don't want this thing. I don't want this baby. And I even, looked into termination. But something in me also felt that that wasn't what I wanted. Even though I was feeling like I didn't want to. I think it was just that, here's what it was. I didn't like what was happening to my body. It wasn't that I didn't want her. At the time, I didn't even know what she was. I didn't like him or her. But I didn't like what was happening to me. I didn't like the way that I was behaving. I didn't like the way I felt. I hated feeling like that, because it really took me back to when I was significantly depressed and experiencing anxiety a lot more prevalently than I do these days. I blamed being pregnant on that. And in a sense, it helped exaggerate those issues because of the hormonal changes that are happening to you. And so the reason that I knew that it's not what I wanted is that one morning in July, I woke up to blood everywhere. And I woke up Solomon, and we were, you know, on our way to the emergency room. I took a shower because I was, you know, bleeding. And I felt her move, and it just completely set the waterworks in motion. Like, she's still in there. She's still moving. I hope that she makes it. That's what I was thinking. And it turns out I was not having a miscarriage. I had placenta previa. And for anybody who doesn't know what that is, it is when your placenta is either partially or completely covering your cervix. And so any sort of excessive pelvic movements will cause the blood to from the placenta to come out of you. And it can lead to a miscarriage if you don't, if it doesn't move, and if you don't refrain from excessive activity. So that also meant that I had to rest, and I had just started a new job. Like, I was like a week into this new job, and they decided that they would delay my training so that I could heal up, and maybe by the following month be in a better position to continue working. How did you feel that day?
Yeah, I was shocked. I knew something was going to happen. Something was going to come out for me, but God knows the best.
And we had to have an ultrasound just to make sure that she was okay. And at the ultrasound, she was fine. Like, it was crazy because it was like nothing happened. The way that she was thriving. And it really kind of, I think, set something off in Solomon, because he got emotional about it. I don't want to make you emotional now, but he told me you told me that you would drive me to work and wait in the car all day if you had to, so that I wouldn't have to drive, or I wouldn't have to stress, because we wanted to make sure that she made it. Thankfully, I had the opportunity to rest up, and I did experience a couple of instances of spotting after the initial diagnosis, but because I wasn't overexerting myself, it wasn't severe. I think by the end of August, I was in a much better place to go back to work. But towards the beginning of August, we found out that we were having a girl, and that also kind of triggered something in me emotionally. I had, the whole time we had been thinking that we're having a boy based on symptoms and things that other people were telling us. And I was really excited about that because I wanted to carry on my late father's name, which is Marcus. And I thought, oh gosh, this is so great. I will have like a little piece of my dad with me. And then I found out I was having a girl, and it really triggered something in me. Like, emotionally, I was super disappointed. And it's not because I'm not gonna enjoy having a daughter. It was just because of what my expectations were initially, and adjusting to that, I had to like figure out why I felt so disappointed, because I didn't really understand why I felt that way at first. I like cried a lot for like 2 or 3 days, and on and off, just feeling really, really depressed about it and not understanding why. But once I understood, came to terms with it, I was like, okay, so that's what it is. It's not about her. None of this is about her. It's all about my stuff long before becoming pregnant. And so I came to terms with that. And then by that Friday, it was the Friday before I was set to go back to work, and I was very excited about that. And so I got a call from my agent that they were pushing back the start date for new employees because the company had a pushback of enrollment. It's an insurance company. And so that meant that I would either delay startup even further, or I would just have to find a new job. So I was really disappointed, you know, because this was a job that was supposed to turn into a permanent position. And I thought, what great timing, you know, this is going, you know, by the time I became permanent, which was only going to be like a couple of weeks because of my background and experience in licensing, I would have accumulated my maternity leave and all of that, and just sort of secured a career, which was something I really wanted to have in place before she got here. Just because, you know, just for security, just to be able to move out of my mom's house and for us to really start our lives as a full family unit, like a nuclear family unit. And it hit me like really hard because I had just dealt with the threatened miscarriage a few weeks prior, understanding my hangups about her gender reveal, and then to be basically laid off. And I was really devastated. And I had a panic attack. Completely lost it. And I was really honest in that moment about how I was feeling. But, you know, in front of him. It happened in front of him. And I think it just really triggered a lot of stuff that I hadn't been honest about throughout this whole thing. And at this point, like I said, it was August. So I'm transitioning from the first trimester into the second. And why don't you tell them how you were feeling in that moment when, you know, I'm hitting all these different, like, and all this different adversity, and then coming to this point where I felt like giving up.
Well, but for me, I knew everything.
How did you feel in the moment?
Well, how do I feel? I still feel.
When I was having the panic attack, how did you feel? That's what I'm asking.
I feel strange because I knew everything was gonna be like that, but God knows that I do not know. We do not know what's going on, but we know. I know that God is in control, so I never lose up. I never give up. I'm still strong, still looking, because I knew every disappointment is gonna be a bigger blessing. Because
how did you feel when your wife was that upset? That's what I want to know.
I was trying to cool you down, not to be upset, because I don't know what is going on. You don't have to be upset for anything. It's only God that knows. The more you are getting upset, is the more you are putting more pressure on you.
So he didn't want me to stress, and that was his main concern. It was a very emotional day. And
yeah. And the water runs out from the face all the time.
A lot.
But it's only God knows the best. We don't know.
So then I had a couple of days to just kind of marinate on that, because it happened on Friday. So then I had the weekend to just kind of think about what I wanted to do. And I still wanted to work because we have a baby coming and I need to. And that's just...
We need finance. We still need finance.
So I got a call, I think that Wednesday maybe, from my agent again, offering me the seasonal position that I had last year, but also a data entry position that could start right away. So I wasn't long without, you know, without the employment thing. And so now I'm working part-time, and then I will transition into full-time next month. And it's been a really good transition, just to kind of ease myself into this, because I'm still, you know, I'm in the second trimester. I'm starting to, you know, really feel her every day. And while I am not as emotionally unbalanced as I was in the first trimester, now in the second trimester I have these other things that I need to worry about. So as we get closer to the third trimester, because I have high blood pressure and because I have heart palpitations as a symptom of the pregnancy, now your girl's on a heart monitor because I had the I had 2 panic attacks. I had that panic attack, and then I had another panic attack that, and I ended up being hospitalized for. And they were all kind of for this, like, kind of had the same symptoms: heart racing and panicking because of anxiety. I had one in the very first month that I was pregnant. Remember when I had like the coffee and the medicine, and I thought that's why my heart was racing? No, it was because I was pregnant. The next time I had the heart palpitations, I went to the emergency room just in case. And then the next time I had the panic attack, one of the symptoms was the heart palpitations, but I ended up falling asleep after having the crying fit and all of that. So we didn't go to the hospital. But the last time, we ended up going to the hospital. And then I had to, and then they actually put in my report anxiety attack. So I was referred to the cardiologist. The cardiologist has me on a heart monitor for a month just to make sure I'm good, that it is normal, but not arrhythmia, but just normal influctions in my heartbeat, because I am pumping blood to my placenta in addition to the rest of my body. So it happens a lot in the evening. If anybody is familiar with that, go ahead and let me know in the comment section if you experienced it as well. I have hypothyroidism, and I have hypertension, which is high blood pressure. High blood pressure, in the last trimester, they start to see me more frequently just to make sure that my blood pressure is stabilized. If my blood pressure becomes elevated, I can go into early term labor. So I have to stay away from stress, and I have to stay away from sodium, and, you know, drink lots of water, you know, stay mobile, things like that. Because I have high blood pressure, my gestation period is shortened by a week. So instead of 40 weeks, it's 39 weeks. If I don't have her by the 39th week, they will induce labor. That puts us actually at the end of January instead of the first week of February. So she'll still be in Aquarius, but we'll be a January Aquarius. But yeah, like my gestation period, because I have high blood pressure, is shortened by a week. So they won't let me reach the 40th week because I have high blood pressure. And that can spell trouble for me and her come delivery. I don't know how everybody else's pregnancy is, but it seems like everyone that I talk to has experienced some sort of difficulty during their pregnancy. No pregnancy is perfect or smooth, and it's just, you know, you got to roll with the punches, and hopefully, you know, you come out on the end of it and you're safe and healthy, and the baby is so safe and healthy. That's all you can really hope for.
Of course, the best.
So our he's been there for the most of the ultrasounds, and you were there for the mid-pregnancy ultrasound. That was at 18 weeks for us. That was just before the 19th week, because she turns like the next week on a Tuesday. So we went to see the doctor on a Friday. She was still 18 weeks and some change. And we have some ultrasound pictures for you, and we'll talk about that experience. So we have these cute pictures. I'll try to do my best to show you. And if you've ever had a baby, maybe you could tell what's what. But this is her head here, and she's kind of facing sideways. You can see a little glare of her fist here, and a little bit of her belly. You can really see her belly right here. A nice little close-up. And then there's a lot of lights in here, y'all. So this one here in the middle, you can really see her hands a little bit. No, it's the last picture is her hands. So this one here is very similar to the previous picture. So we'll just move on to the next one. There we go. Now you can, it's like a skeletal view. So you can see her skeleton is developing nicely, which I was appreciative of seeing. Also, her hands were on her ears. Gotta tell you a funny story about that. Funny story at the ultrasound. Nala was having none of this ultrasound machine. Like, we got everything we needed to get, but first of all, she didn't want to move for this lady at all. And she kept jiggling Nala to coax her into moving. And you could see her do this on the ultrasound machine, and to the point where she turned all the way around. Like, it was so cute. And I know that, like, because I watched like some videos that talk about, like, they can hear it. They can hear the ultrasound waves. She's at the age where she can hear noise, like outside noise. She can hear my voice, but not like, obviously she doesn't understand what I'm saying, but I mean, like, she can hear. Her hearing sense is developing. And so can you imagine you just chilling, you know, in the white noise womb, and all of a sudden it's wow, 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 you know what I mean? So of course she's like, oh, you know, and she has the reflexes to, she has the instinctual thought to cover her ears, which I think is super healthy, right? Like, your child should be able to cover their ears. Now, very early on, I'm talking like 7 weeks when we've had our first ultrasound, I could see very clearly that her hands were already hands. Like, she was already developed hands and feet. Her little tiny hair-like bones, like, it just looked like little toothpicks, man. It was crazy. So I wasn't too worried when I got a call. After that ultrasound, I got a call from my doctor's office that said that they wanted to do a level 2 ultrasound because I tested positive for spina bifida. It was only a slight elevation, like a what is it, a tenth of a like 0.0 then the number kind of positivity. And they said that it could just be, you know, nothing, but they wanted to make sure, because anytime somebody tests positive for spina bifida, they have to do a second round ultrasound. So they brought me in, and I had a consultation before the ultrasound, just so I knew what was going to happen. And the woman I spoke with, she explained that the probability that she has any sort of spinal issues that will later turn into developmental issues was slim to none. Like, 98% chance she's fine, kind of thing. But she did explain that, like, you know, a little bit about what spina bifida is. I'll leave you guys a link to explain in detail what spina bifida is. But basically, it is a developmental issue in the spine. Happens in you know, development, where there's like a hole in the spine, and it causes deformities. And, you know, obviously, if you are like have a higher probability of that, you want to see it, you want to find out early on, because you want to decide if you even want to go forward, right? Or, you know, how you're going to deal with it going forward. They do have another step beyond the ultrasound, which would be an amniotic analysis, where they would put a needle inside the womb and take some amniotic fluid out. But there's a high, not a high probability, but a greater probability that you'll have a miscarriage versus the probability that your baby actually has spina bifida. So that wasn't even at the front of my mind. I said the chances are so slim, and we already saw that she's fine. I'm not gonna have that amniotic analysis for that. They also mentioned that the reason that my levels were slightly elevated could have been due to the placenta previa issue. and because I had lost blood, that my body was making extra proteins, and that's why the levels were elevated. So she also mentioned another condition that was a probability, and this is where I'm saying the fact that her hands and feet were already developed let me put my mind at ease, is that they were saying that there's another, try something or other, oh my gosh, I'm so bad with these words, but basically another genetic deformity is another probability in the high protein level or elevated protein level, in that is more severe and more devastating for a baby, and that is it causes their senses and their nervous system does not develop, like their brain doesn't really develop that quickly, and they never open their hands, and they have like cleft feet, and like they just don't develop, like some oftentimes die before they're born. But I didn't have that. I had like a type 2, not a type 3 of whatever it was that she was testing. So she said we're okay in that regard. And the fact that I've seen her hands open and seen her feet totally developed in all of the ultrasounds that we've had. She's been moving like crazy. Her reflexes are on point. Oh, I know what it was. The cyst sacs. They had noted that she has cyst sacs on either side of her brain. And the doctor told me that this is a normal in the early stages of development and goes away at 6 or 7 months of age in a normal, healthy baby. That these cyst sacs, if they do not go away, it is because the baby has that condition, that developmental condition, and you'll see the symptoms in the rest of their body. So she doesn't have those issues. She has the cyst sacs because that's protecting her brain during development. Probably a lot of information. I don't know if anybody else has like actually had to deal with this with their pregnancy, but if you have, I would love to know about it. I will try to find that word, the condition that is in relation to the cyst sacs, and leave it for you with the spina bifida info in the description box. So moving on, that was the second ultrasound. It was level 2 ultrasound. So we went in, we took a look at her. They did determine that day, because she was kind of chill that day. She was actually like straight up laying across my belly, and she was chilling. She didn't really feel like moving too much. So they couldn't get a good look at some of the parts of her body that they wanted to see, but they did give us some pictures. These are much more detailed, and we can see her profile, you know, her skin profile in these pictures. And so we determined that she looks like Solomon more than me. Really? At the moment. At the moment. Who's to say it'll stay that way? But right now, she looks like him. Like you can kind of see Solomon's profile right here. And his little poked out lip. This is a confirmation of her gender. This is from the underside of her, as if she were sitting and you were looking at her sitting. Kind of thing. Girl. We'll just leave it at that, okay? So that was pretty much it. That leads us all the way up to this week. And I had my first visit with a counselor, which went very well. If you guys want to know, if you guys want to hear about what I'm learning in counseling, without too much detail, but if you want to know what I'm learning in counseling, like the video and let me know in the comment section. How you feeling, Dad?
I'm feeling great. Simple and cool.
Whenever you see her, how do you feel?
Feel confident.
And you've been thinking about what you hope for her?
Yes, I'm feeling a lot of things. I'm feeling if we can have our own place for her to come. That's the most important thing I'm feeling.
I think that I don't know if we'll be able to have our own place by that time, but I think that before she turns 1, we will.
I wish.
Absolutely, we will. Speak it into existence, right? We've had some setbacks, but we also have a lot of blessings.
Yeah. Things
that are happening for the good. And you know, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's path is different, and I think that we are set to have I think, you know, sometimes I feel like it was a blessing that we aren't able to move out right away, because were first-time parents. And from what my mother told me about her and my father, they didn't have their own place right away. And my Nana, who had 4 children, was able to help them in my first few months of life, which was beneficial to my mom as a first-time mom, and to my father, obviously. But you know, for us women, there's a unique relationship with your baby at that time, because they still need you, like your person. They need you for breast milk. They need you for a lot of different things. And it's a bonding time for you and your partner. But the things that you learn, like from mother to mother, are really unique. And so I think, you know, the bonding for my mother as well with her only grandchild is important for her. I think that me learning what I can from her as a mother is important for me. But I don't think we're gonna need that for that long. Like, that right now, we don't need it forever. So I do want to move out before she's 1. I want to move out, you know, and not have to come back. So that is the next step. That's the next goal, is to get situated and be able to give her a really quality life.
Yeah. That's so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our update. Hope you enjoyed it. There was a lot to take in, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But you know, what comes out on the other side is going to be life-changing, and we're really excited about it.
Right.
So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and comment in the comment section. Let's chat. This is a lot of information, so let's chat. Our registry is in the description box as well if you are interested in contributing to Nala's registry. Feel free. That is it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.